Okay, welcome back to Central Valley Business. I'm Chuck Leonard, sitting in for the vacationing Mike Scott, who's in Tokyo, darn it. Okay, let's bring in our next guest, Mark Dowling from Speedy Bail Bonds. Mark, how are you, buddy?
Hi, Chuck. I'm doing fine today.
Speedy Bail Bonds, you've been in Fresno for a while.
I've been in business here in town for over 20 years.
How did you get into the bail bonds business?
My dad was a ATF agent, bounty hunter.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, and worked for a number of bail bondsmen. And eventually, I went into the business and worked for someone, and then eventually decided to open up my own business so that I could make sure that I represent myself and not someone else's business, because I treat customers differently.
What is something that the other guys do that you don't do?
I don't arrest people over not paying me my money.
Really?
Oh, yes. Many bail bondsmen will get people out for a low down payment, and if they miss their monthly payment, they'll just put them back in jail. So I don't think that's a very good idea and a good way to run my business. So that's the opposite,
really, because
you're
trying to keep them out of jail.
Correct. Right.
You know?
Right. I just wanted to, take care of their business and go to court.
So you just, hey, bud.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yes.
You're more of a personal.
I try to be very nice to people. Life is hard enough already. They don't need to encounter a jerk. I try to be a nice guy.
Life's hard, but
Yes.
Life's harder when you're dealing with the legal problems.
Absolutely.
When you're behind those bars, you need to get out.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Definitely. That's the big thing
How does
with
it
people.
work?
They want to be in jail.
How does a bail work?
Once a year, all the judges get together. They set a bail schedule. Anybody gets arrested, the police look at the charges, and then they look in this giant book, and then they find out how much the bail is. Then, when they're inside the jail, there's a bunch of ads in there. They see a bail bondsman. They pick up the phone and call them, and you'll get somebody like myself. And we charge 10% for our services, sometimes 8%. If they fit different discount programs, but they basically have to pay me 10% of the bail. They don't get that money back, but I get the people out of jail, and I guarantee they're going to go to court. And that's the whole thing with the justice system. We're like a pressure reliever for the courts and the jails. We guarantee that everybody we ever get out on bail is always going to show up. If they don't show up, we actually pay the full amount of the bail. So we have a big incentive to make sure that customers.
I'm sure there's been instances where you've had to pay that.
I've been very lucky, Chuck. I've never had to pay off a bail bond in 24 years. I'm very lucky.
And I bet that's because you are nice to people.
I'm trying to be a nice guy, and I try to make sure I'm a good underwriter.
Yeah.
So, and I work with people, and I try to make sure that, if they've missed court over something such as they're sick or their mother died or something happens, I don't want to.
That's communicated to the court?
Yeah, correct. I communicate it to the court, and I tell them, hey, don't worry about it. I'll take care of you, and that's the whole thing. I'm like,
you get them their next court date right then?
I give them a paper because they can't go back to court without my permission, but what I do is I give them a piece of paper, and it's a motion accepting liability on the bond again and allowing that person to continue out on my bail.
Wow.
So I guarantee the customers are going to go to court and going to show up. And even if they get sentenced to, jail or prison, if they're out on my bond, they got to go take care of their business, and they got to go. If they don't go, I have to go find them and make sure that they do go.
So, $50,000 bond, you put up $5,000 to get them out.
Correct. I put up $50,000.
You put up $50,000.
Correct. They pay me $5,000.
They pay you the $5,000.
Correct.
Over period of time.
Sure. Sometimes they can pay, sometimes they can pay it all up front if they have the money, or if they can pay me over time. A lot of people that get in trouble are people who are middle class, or they're working people. They don't have all that money right away. So what I do is I'll take a minimum down payment from them and set them up on monthly payments. I mean, I have money, but yet I like it when people offer me no interest payments because, everybody likes to have no interest payments. That way they can keep their cash free for other things. And so I make sure that I always give people credit when they come to my office.
So the way you're making money is on the 10%?
Oh, correct. That's mine.
And 10% is nothing to someone that's sitting behind the bars that want to get out.
Oh, correct. Nobody wants to be in jail, and that's why I call my company Speedy Bail Bonds, because if I had a company called Slow Bail Bonds, no one would use me. Everybody wants to get out.
How long does it take from the time, help, Mr. Mark, help?
It can take people, once they encounter the police, it could take up to 12 hours for them to actually get completely booked in the system and ready to be bailed out. But once they call me for a bond, I run my own office, and it's only me, so I immediately go down the jail within 10 minutes, post the bail, wait in the lobby for them. When they're released out the door an hour or two later, a couple hours later, however many hours it is,
so it speeds it up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it speeded up because they know the money's there?
Yeah, it speeds it up when the deputies know that I'm sitting there. Over the years, I've gotten a really good relationship with a number of the deputies at the jail. They realize that I'm there. I don't cause any trouble. I'm just sitting in the lobby waiting for my client. But, they realize that, and they say, hey, we need to move it forward because Mark's here waiting for the guy, so let's get him out.
So that's another big plus, isn't it?
Big plus for me.
Not for you, for them.
Oh, yes.
You probably save 10 hours or so in jail.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of people, if they have to deal with some other bail bonds, and they may have to drive down to their office, they may have to jump through a bunch of hoops, pay parking meters, find their office in downtown, sit at the jail for hours. My business is completely mobile. I will go to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'll go down the jail, post the bond, wait for the person to get released, and then literally bring them home to their family. And
wow.
then if if the families are good people, I'll get the money from them after I get the defendant out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And
sometimes maybe breakfast.
Oh yeah,
right?
Sure.
Right?
Yep. Once in a while, I buy people breakfast or lunch.
Because you're doing these families such a huge favor. They're
Yeah.
indebted to you for more than the money. I bet they feel like they are.
Yeah, some of my clients, we are dealing sometimes with people who go to jail a lot, so they don't really
Return customers.
appreciate me. But people who get in trouble once and are having are a good person having a bad day, that person is very appreciative of me. Because, example, last week I got a guy out. I took him all the way out to Mendota, and now that the 180 runs right out there, it's pretty easy.
Right.
And I gave him a lift out to Mendota, helped him pick up his paycheck, waited for him to cash it, then he paid me. And he said, Mark, I'm amazed that you trusted me. I said, hey, I'm a bail bondsman. I can always take you back to jail, but I like to be a nice guy. I know you're going to pay me.
Awesome.
And they do.
Awesome. What's the phone number?
My phone number is 271-1546. I answer my phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Speedy never closes.
And your office is downtown Fresno?
I don't have an office.
You go straight out of your house.
I'm a mobile bail bond business. If I had an office, it would just slow me down.
Right. You couldn't
I
be as
operate
speedy
right
as
out
you
of my
are now.
home. Yeah. I mean, when you're in an office, you're really tied down. And so I operate right out of my home in Northwest Fresno. I immediately go to people. Example, Clovis PD knows me pretty well. If Clovis PD arrests somebody, if I tell them, hey, Sergeant, I'm coming down myself. I'm coming down. I'm leaving my place right now. I'm hitting Herndon Avenue. They know that. They say, okay, no problem, Mark. We'll hold on to the person for you till you get here. And a lot of times other bail bondsmen will call, and the Clovis Police Department will tell them, no, we're not going to hold on to him. We're going to send him down to Fresno. If you send him down to Fresno, that's another 8 to 10 hours of processing. Correct.
Wow.
Right, and I tend to eliminate that for people.
People say the first call goes to the lawyer. Maybe the first call should go to you.
Oh, absolutely, because the lawyer can't get you out of jail. Only a bail bondsman can get you out of jail. I've actually dealt with attorneys who have told me before, Mark, I'll take care of it. I'll get them on calendar. I'll make sure it's done. And absolutely not. I mean, it takes 10 days to get them on calendar. If I take care of it, it's instant. I put a bond up for the person, the warrant's recalled immediately. A lot of times I can put up a bond without a person going to jail. If they know they have a warrant, I can just go to the court and post a bail for them and get them released immediately. Or get the warrant recalled so that they never have to go into custody. And that's really good. If you have a person who has never been in trouble before, if you have someone who's been in trouble a number of times over their life, this is no big deal. They just do this, it's like part of their life. But a lot of times I deal, like I said, with good people having a bad day, and this is very traumatic for them. Mm-hmm. So they say, oh, please, Mark, can you help me? Yes, I'll go to the courthouse right now. I will post a bond for you. I will get the warrant recalled. I'll get you on calendar. Don't worry about it. You're going to be okay. And I tell people, you're going to be all right. You're with me.
What's the biggest one you ever did?
Biggest bond I ever did was a $500,000 bond. Yeah.
What'd they do?
I think it was a vehicular manslaughter. The person had never been in trouble before. They had been on their job 25 years. They had drank too much at a bar one night. They leave the bar. They end up, and this was the worst thing. When they got into the accident, they killed the people that were in their own car. His own friends died. He didn't die, but his friends died. And so with a person like that who's never been in trouble before, they don't necessarily need to go to, even though they are going to go to prison, they're in prison the rest of their life because they just killed their friend. And, when I put up a bond for somebody like that, I realize they're not a criminal. They did a bad thing. They had a lapse in judgment, and now people are suffering because of it. But otherwise, they're good people. They just had a really bad day.
Mark Dowling, Speedy Bail Bonds. Always good to see you, buddy. Thanks for
Chuck.
coming by, okay?
All right, big guy, I'll talk to you soon, and thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.